So you mentioned Gaia. I think before we started recording, you kind of hinted towards that, but some of the connections with kind of the way that you talked about, like Gaia gives birth and all of this. I think you were maybe mentioning, kind of gesturing towards connecting that with some of like even the way the modern beliefs are taking place in our culture. I don't know if you want to speak on that or not.
Yeah, well, specifically when it comes to the origins of the universe is what I was getting at.
Okay.
Is that Gaia, who comes from chaos, right, produces all life of herself, or by mating with Uranus, right, the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how life is produced, according to the ancient pagans. And that is the theory of evolution, right? Is that the earth by itself brings forth life. Now, the point is that evolution as a scientific theory has no basis to say that life spontaneously came about through inorganic material. There's no scientific possibility of that happening. No proof. In fact, so much so that Richard Dawkins entertains the idea that aliens dropped it off, as if that solves the problem. Really? Aliens dropped down life on Earth. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Common theory.
That's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
You know.
And all that does is
kick the can down
down the road. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So
who created aliens?
Yeah. Exactly. And then of course you get the multiverse and all that stuff, which we can talk about if we want to. But that you have this scientific veneer, right, that they can explain through evolution how life came about, how it transitioned from single cell to finally what we are. They precisely don't have that. They don't have proof for that at all. The existence of stuff, the existence of life, right, and how we came to be self-conscious, moral creatures.
Yeah.
They do not have proofs for that at all. So you go back to ancient paganism and you say, well, they didn't try to have proofs for that, except for to say that Gaia is a god. She's divine. Uranus is a god, divine. They have greater powers. So they acknowledged a mystery to the universe that was maybe simplistic, but at least honest. And that's what your modern atheists won't do. And that's why their theories are so, I would say deceptive.
Yeah. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on this. One thing I'm kind of looking into is, so I very much agree with that idea that there's not a true atheist. And I think that they move towards paganism, right? So they kind of bring in these kind of old mythological type ways of thinking about it, but they end up becoming religious irregardless. And that's where with Gaia and climate change is really interesting, right? Because climate change is basically saying Gaia, Mother Earth, like this is kind of the highest thing. Like this is God. We're getting in the way of that. But then they create a religious structure. So they say, therefore, here's your moral code, right? You can't drive a Hummer. You have to do these kind of things. And if you don't do that, then you've sinned. And now you're going to be punished. And we've got this kind of priestly class of the scientists that they have to be kind of taken at face value. Like you have to accept everything that they say. If you push back against that, you become a heretic. And now you can't be part of the community and you need to be ostracized. So they've created a whole religious structure around Gaia and around climate change. But if you ask many of them, they would say, well, no, I'm an atheist or I'm a materialist, but they operate underneath the same, they just can't help it, right? There's no such thing as atheism, to your point. You just kind of fall back into paganism. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, that's exactly right. And the pagan world was not a good world. That's another thing that I talk about when it comes to Christianity, is that what they call stupid about Christianity is our moral views, right? Well, you want to return to pagan moral views, we have to a certain extent, to a large extent, right? We kill babies; they kill babies. We treat women as mere objects for men's lust, right? Instead of uplifting them as mothers and caretakers, and instead of exalting the created order between man and woman, that they're equal before God, yet they have different roles, right? They go into this sort of transvesticism, right? That was again very common in the pagan world. Interestingly enough, the priests in the Old Testament were always males because they're representing a male god, right? And the priests and pastors of the New Testament, the apostles, all men, right? Because they're representing this male god. And I'm not talking about male god as in he has that gender or that biology, right? Though Jesus does, right. But I'm saying that he is father.
He's masculine,
and he is father, and that is what fatherhood is named after. We don't name God Father after our fatherhood. Our fatherhood is named after God the Father. And they replace all this with not feminine, but effeminate religion, right? And that includes this the sort of wacko environmentalism that acts like we can actually destroy Mother Earth. Mother Earth also groaned under the oppression of Uranus, right? And called on her children to release her. And that's when Cronus, the wily one, cut off his dad's testicles, right? And so you can really fit everything, all the rhetoric of we have to save the earth because of the horrible things that men are doing to it, right? Who's in the coal mines? Men, right? Who's built all the cities? Men, right? Who invented the automobile? Men. Oh, what are they doing? They're oppressing Mother Earth. It's one more form of feminism, right? And feminism consists of refusing to see the beautiful and distinctive role of the woman and of the man. And woman always loses, right? When you try to make her equal to man. Man and woman lose, right? As Anthony Esselin said, we don't need any more second-rate men. We need first-rate women, right? And so don't pretend that women can become men and when men can become women. So yeah, I'm rambling there, but
well, you remind me that I think it was Lutheran Satire. We were talking about them earlier. It's been years since I've seen this, but I think he did something. Hans Feeney did something. Hans Feeney, right?
Yeah.
He does.
I just call him cousin.
Cousin. That's right. He's a cousin.
Yeah.
So he kind of lays out the feminine thing as he does, with some satire, and then at the end, like has like a student raise their hand or something like, wait, let me get this right. Like you're saying that women can sleep with whoever they want to, and they should like and like they shouldn't be bound by marriage, and like pornography should be an acceptable way of women expressing their feminine. Like he's like, it sounds like men came up with this. Like it sounds like that's really like good for like a very like hungry type sexual predator man. Yeah. And then like the video just ends, but it was a really good way of kind of framing it at the end. So this is not great for women. It doesn't work out well for women. It works out for sexual predators, and all those other kind of real toxic expressions of failed masculinity. Yeah. That's who it helps out.
Doesn't work out for the children either.
Does not work out for the children, no.
Yeah, so that's why we've murdered something like 60 million of them in the United States, and counting. Roe v. Wade changed just about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's also the leading cause for poverty, drug use, violence, lack of education in the United States.